What is going on, my fellow Omi homies? It's Foster, and I'm back at it again with another VV and Ecome video. Guys, today we're just going to jump right into it. I got a jam-packed video for you, and it's all related to the Omi tokens and where they are currently located, how many are owned by certain people, and I think that you guys are going to find this video very interesting and very insightful if you currently own the Omi token or if you're contemplating picking up some Omi tokens before all of the catalyst hits over the next couple of months. So before we get started, I do want to give a huge shout out to Jason Cologne. Thank you so much for doing all of this background digging in the back end. I've been speaking with Jason for quite some time now, and he's a great resource for the community. He compiles this information almost on a weekly basis, and he's really helped me out in putting this video together. So thank you so much to him. You guys can follow him on Twitter here at Jason Cologne. Great resource to the community. With that being said, this is the first document that I wanted to show you guys that he's put together. He puts this out weekly, and this is just a ranking update of how much Omi you need to have relative to the rest of the community in order to fit into a specific category. So as a perfect example here, if you want to be in the first percentile, meaning the highest percent of all Omi holders, there is 683 of them, which of course is done by the total amount of Omi wallets we have that have at least one token in it, which is 68,300. So 1% of that, you get 683. And the minimum Omi amount that you need to be in that group is 23.3 million Omi tokens, which is currently worth $163,000, and at all-time high was worth about $312,000. I currently sit somewhere in the second percentile. I have more than 11 million Omi tokens, but obviously not quite 23 million. So I'm within, I guess, the top 1,366 wallets of everyone that exists. So I consider myself very fortunate and grateful to have had that opportunity. But an important perspective that I think a lot of people get lost on is that the 50 percentile is only 81,000 Omi. And now I say 81,000, there may be some people that are watching this video that have less than 81,000 or don't have any Omi at all. And that is perfectly okay. But this is just to show you that 81,000 Omi is really a milestone that I think is achievable for most people that are in investing. And you would still have more than 50% of all other people that are invested in the token. And it would only cost you $571 to do. This one day could be worth $81,000 if Omi hits $1. So that's definitely an important consideration to take. May want to look into doing some research on it. Obviously not financial advice, but if you think that the token is going to be a success, I think hitting at least this level is definitely attainable. We see here to hit 1 million Omi, which is the next number we'll look at, you'd be in the 15th percentile and you need about $7,000 to purchase that. Currently, remember that it's still a far cry from the all-time high if you would purchase it at 1 cent of $13,000. But even just a few months ago, we were all the way down at 0.002, and it would have only cost you about $2,000 to buy a million Omi, and you'd be up over 300%. I still think that everyone is very early and it's a consideration to be taken. But if you guys want to read any more of this information, just go ahead and pause the video. But I would really like to move on to what I think you guys will be most interested in. And that is the current circulation by individual wallets relative to the circulating supply. So what Jason was able to do is he took the total token supply, which is 750 billion tokens. We know that's how many were minted, and no more will ever be minted. He removed the reserve wallet, the vault wallet, and the burn wallet. For those of you that don't know, those are the three wallets that essentially have the most Omi in them right now, but they are all out of circulation wallets and they will never enter the circulating supply. So he removed all of those, and he removed the 97, almost 98 billion tokens that was accidentally locked by Ecome earlier in the year. Those will also never enter circulation. So as such, he removed them from the circulating supply as well. And when you remove all of the tokens that will never enter circulation, you get a total circulating supply that will ever enter at about 311 billion tokens. Now, what Jason did is he did a calculation based on the top 1% wallets, which as we know was 685, but he removed the reserve, vault, burn, and the accidental lock because those don't affect circulating supply, which means they don't affect price. So he went and did that, and he found something very interesting. And at first, when I read it, I was very troubled by it. And I actually reached out to him. You'll see here that I reached out and said, are there other factors that could play into this? This concerns me quite a bit. And then we had some conversations privately, and he was able to work something out, which we'll get into momentarily. The reason that this concerns me is that 84% of the circulating supply of OMI is held by 1% or only 685 people. And that is very scary. When you consider that only 15% of tokens is available to the general public, to me, that throws up huge red flags, because what that means is that conceivably a ton of whales could be holding the token, and they could turn around and just dump on everyone else that's holding it, and we'd be in a lot of trouble if that was to happen. So obviously this concerned me. If you see even the top 5%, there's only 7.7% of the remaining percent in circulating supply that is available for the rest of us. So that means 1 out of every 11, essentially, so 10 out of 11 tokens are held by the top 5% of people, and everyone else is just fighting over that bottom percent. Now, if the demand for the token and the buy pressure is not there, and all of these larger accounts were to sell their tokens, we would not have the sustained buy pressure to eat up that volume. And of course, that could cause some big problems with the price in the token. So this worried me. I reached out to Jason, and I don't want to scare you guys because I actually think he came up with some numbers that you guys will be very interested in, and that are these. He was able to come up with this, which is essentially the same calculation that he did on the previous screen. But what he was able to do with the help of Ecome Whale, Orion Crypto Trader, shout out to them as well, he was able to put some documentation together to find some of the specific wallets and what wallets may be holding these tokens in the top 5%. So as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen here, we're still operating under the same premise of all of the tokens that are out of circulating supply with the same circulating supply, but now we're taking into account things like exchanges or wrapped OMI that might be locked in Uniswap, the founder tokens, and of course, the business wallet that we think exists as well. For those of you that don't know, there is an Ecome Medium article that I will link at the bottom of the video, and it talks about how token unlocks are occurring. For those of you that don't know, the tokens were vested, which means they were locked for a specific period of time. The team actually locked their tokens for 2 years, and they are currently being unlocked every 3 months over a 1-year period, at which point they will have access to a total of 75 billion tokens. And they also have a business development fund, which also had tokens that were placed into it, which can be used to provide liquidity for exchanges or for business expenses to continue to grow the company. So when we look at these numbers, we see that 75 billion are founder wallets. We see that 40 billion is the assumed business wallet, and 36 billion is on exchanges. So when we add those numbers together, we see that that's about 150 billion, or half of all of the tokens that are in circulation. So what Jason was able to do, and I'll put this screen back up for reference, the total 1% that was being held based on the numbers that weren't individual wallets was 263 billion tokens, which, as we know, is a large percentage, 84%. But what he was now able to do is, with removing the exchanges, which of course are just there to provide liquidity for other people to buy, the founder tokens, which some of which are already still locked, or the other founders tokens, which I will show you momentarily, haven't been touched as much as people thought, and of course the business development fund, which is being used to actively improve the project, we can see that the top 1% is actually only 108 billion tokens, which granted is still a decent percentage, but instead of it being 84%, it's actually only 34%. So we can see that that's a significant reduction, and there are still 65% of tokens being held by people below that number, whereas here there was only 15% being held below that number. What this means is that a lot of these tokens that we see with high volume and that have a lot of OMI in them are not necessarily whales that are manipulating the price or who are taking advantage of the token. I'm not saying that they don't exist, they definitely do, but this goes to show you that the numbers aren't necessarily as high as I think even I believed before I was able to do the research and make this video. So as you can see, even going as far down as the top 5%, we're only talking about 132 billion tokens, and 57% is still available below that. But if we go and look here, it was 287 billion, and there was only 7.7% available below the top 5% of wallets. So this, to me, guys, is extremely good news. And I'm going to compound that news with the next part that I'm going to show you. I want to preface this by saying I will be making a part 2 to this video, especially if you guys are curious to learn more about the individual wallet holdings, who is holding what, and how much of it they are holding. I am more than willing to do a deep dive for you on that, but I wanted to give you a base level overview so that you could understand where we're coming from. And then if more research is required based on interest, we will do it. So for those of you that don't know what this document is, this was provided by Ecome, and this is related to the founder token unlocks. So what they have done is they have provided the spreadsheet for all of the wallet addresses that hold either founder or business development tokens. And it also includes the wallets that were locked up, the 97 billion OMI that was locked. As you can see here, it says locked. All of these are locked up for, I think it's like 187,000 years or something crazy. So they're effectively burnt. They can never be used in our lifetime or anyone else's lifetime that you're ever going to meet. So these wallets up here are the ones that we're going to focus on. You can see that they are not permanently locked, and these are the vesting or release dates for each of these tokens. So as you can see, there's already been quite a few tokens released. We're up to the next token unlock, which is coming up in just under 2 weeks' time on November 10th. And I know that a lot of people will look at this and say, well, wow, 15, 30, this is 40 billion-ish tokens that have been released. That's scary. What is happening with all these tokens? What happens if the team dumps their tokens on me? How can we avoid this? And this is the perspective that I want to give you guys. And this is why I think that this video will be so invaluable to you. And that is going to be, what are the actual transactions that are taking place on some of these wallets? I also would like to say I have not gone through every single wallet that exists on this list, but I picked out a few of the big ones because I felt it was important to provide that perspective. And like I said, if you guys are interested in a part 2, make sure that you comment down below and let me know, and I will for sure work on that for you. So the first wallet that I want to show you guys is this wallet right here, the 0xBBC C6 account, okay? That was released, as we can see, on May 10th, and it had 7.5 billion tokens. If we go over to the Gochain Explorer and enter in that address, we can see that there was a token transfer done after, so it was given tokens back in December of 2020, and then they were unlocked on the 10th of May, as we know, and then they were immediately transferred. So they were taken out of this account. So where did they go? They went into this address, 0x, or sorry, that's still this address, I apologize, 0xFD8. So as you can see, this wallet holds 15 billion OMI. It had 7.5 billion OMI added to it from 0xBBC, which is the address that we looked up. And then it also had 7.5 billion added by 0xEE36. So if we click on that wallet address and we take a look at it, we can see that a token transfer of 7.5 billion was done on August 10th. Now, if we go back and take a look at the August 10th transaction, we can see that this 0xEE36 wallet, which is this wallet right here, had 7.5 billion tokens unlocked from it. And those were also transferred to this new wallet, this 0xFD wallet. So if we click on that wallet, we can see that it holds 15 billion OMI. So this wallet received a transaction on May 10th, and it received a transaction on August 10th from the unlocks. We don't know if it's founder tokens or if it's business development. It could be a mix of both. It's one or the other, but we know it came from the team. And we know up to this date, this is today's date, updated October 31st, as I film this video, not a single OMI token out of that unlock that occurred in May or August has been touched. I think that that's incredibly bullish, but we can take it a step even further than that because one wallet could be a coincidence. So let's look at this one. For those of you that don't know what this wallet is, this is the other wallet right here, this 0x8b25 wallet that had the other 7.5 billion tokens unlocked on May 10th. As we can see, it received those tokens back in December. On May 10th, when it was unlocked, it transferred to this 0x29 account. If you look at the 0x29 account, you can see that it also holds 15 billion OMI. I think you guys are starting to see the pattern here. This wallet also received another transaction in August, on August 10th, from the 0x23FF account. If we go over to August 10th, you can see the 0x23FF account was another 7.5 billion tokens that had been unlocked, and then those tokens were transferred to the 0x29 account. And of course, as we know, that account currently holds all 15 billion OMI that it was transferred to this day. It still holds it. And of course, I went to the wrong wallet, but you guys get the picture. So it's very interesting to see that this is happening. We know that these unlocks are occurring, but we can also see, thanks to the blockchain, where these tokens are going and whether or not they're being used or sold. Now, I'm sure that there are some wallets that I could track down that had unlocks that have been making transfers and have been making sales. I'm not saying that that is not happening, but I have just shown a perfect example of 30 billion OMI tokens that have been unlocked, which is a tenth of the circulating supply, that are currently sitting in wallets and have not had a single penny spent from them. When Dan and David tell you in AMAs that they are not even keeping track of the OMI tokens that they hold and they have no intention of spending them anytime soon, we see the proof here. The proof is in the blockchain. The blockchain does not lie because it cannot be modified, it cannot be changed, and it gives us all of the information. It doesn't necessarily say who owns the wallets, but if you do a little bit of research, you can track that down, and we can see that the founders and the team are clearly focusing on improving the project. And if they were planning on dumping on us, they're holding a lot of the tokens and they haven't done it yet. And there's only positive catalysts, in my opinion, moving forward that, if anything, will further increase the token value. And I believe, just as I'm sure a lot of you do believe, they have no intention of selling anytime soon. With that, guys, I just want to give a final shout out to everyone that subscribed on my YouTube channel recently. I've experienced such explosive growth and just an immense amount of support from everyone in the community. I started this channel at the beginning of August, and I'm already at 1.5 thousand subscribers. Each and every one of you mean the world to me, and you continue to motivate me to make content and to continue to enjoy finding this research and helping out the community in any way that I can. If you are interested in seeing a part 2, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Like I said, this support goes a long way in making sure that I can devote the time and resources in order to get this information from you. And a little bit of support honestly means the world and goes a long way. So once again, thank you guys for everything. I really appreciate it. Part 2 to come. I love you all. Peace.